Welcome to The Real Build.
You leave this world behind, so live a life you will remember.
What is up, guys? Welcome to another episode of The Real Build. I'm your host, Bill Reiman, your broker builder, and today I got a solo episode for you guys. Welcome to the show. Those of you that are new to the show, welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you guys for listening. And for those of you guys that have supported the show for a long time, I appreciate you all too. So today, we got a solo episode for you guys. I love doing these. These are on topics that usually, come across my mind during the work week. Something that happens, whether it's in a meeting or with a subcontractor or whatever, that I know can help you guys out there that are looking for a builder or looking to hire a company. And what I wanted to actually talk about today is the role of transparency and trust in construction. It goes a long way. Trust goes a long way. Without trust, we don't have business. We don't have a customer. We more than likely are going to have problems if we lose the trust of our client, or if we do not get the trust at the beginning, more than likely we do not have a sale. So, before we get into it, guys, thank you all for listening. Please take the time to like, share, subscribe. You know the routine. Reviews, reviews, reviews go a long way. We got a ton of reviews on this show. Go on iTunes. Take 2 seconds, just 2 seconds. 5-star reviews go a long way. Appreciate each and every one of you guys. So let's get into it. The role of transparency and trust in construction. This is huge. And trust is the number one thing you need to focus on in your business. It's the number one thing that we focus on as a company. Why I say that is, like I said before, without trust, you're going to have problems. You're probably not even going to get the sale, but during the process, during the build process, if you lose somebody's trust, it is going to be a nightmare. It only takes one small thing to lose somebody's trust. That's it. But if you can maintain that trust and you do things along the way, which we're going to get into today, it's a lifetime relationship. It's a long-term relationship. I talk on the show all the time about playing the long term, the importance of it. That's what we need to focus on, is the long-term relationship. Like with our clients become family. We're doing a client event this year, client appreciation event, just to show how much we appreciate it, but also to continue those relationships. Why are they going to come to that event? Because they trust us, right? So if you hire a contractor and you don't trust them, it's going to be a bad experience. I guarantee it, because in the back of your mind, the whole entire time, there's going to be issues. You're going to look for issues if you hire somebody that you don't trust right off the bat. If you're looking to hire for price, which I have episodes on this, more than likely you're not hiring to trust, which more than likely turns into a problem during the build because you don't have that initial trust in the contractor. So, how do we gain trust with our clients? This is a big question. How do we gain their trust? Well, the number one thing I always talk about is listening. We need to listen to them from start to finish, in between, after the build, whatever you guys do as far as construction. Those of you that listen to this that are in construction, we need to listen to the client. And that always starts from the very beginning. Like I say, in the first initial meeting with the client, we want to. I always actually have a notepad with me in those first initial meetings, and I ask them, tell me about yourself, tell me what you're looking for, what's the vision, why are you doing this? Ask the right questions, have those questions prepared, but when you ask them, listen. And I'm always taking notes as they're talking, they're writing down everything I possibly can about the client. And they see me doing that. So when they see you doing that, they actually are like, wow, this guy actually listens to me. You're gaining trust by that. You're gaining trust by listening to them, right? But you're going to hear things that mean a lot. They have a lot of meaning. So as we're listening, we're not listening to just respond to them. We're listening to get all the information we can out of them so we know exactly what their wants and needs are. Most people just listen and they have a response in their head. They don't even listen. They have a response before, they're sitting there, the client's talking, and they're just there to respond. They want to say something so bad so they don't hear any words that are coming out of that person's mouth. That's a problem. You're not going to have success. You're not going to gain trust doing that. Another thing is set expectations early. Be upfront about timelines, cost, and potential roadblocks that can happen. These surprises happen during construction. They happen all the time. So if you can be upfront about it, set the expectations as much as possible. So if I'm going into a build, I say, hey, there could be a price increase here, or hey, this could delay construction because of this, or hey, I've had this happen in the past, so I just want to make you aware of it. These things that you say, hey, this delayed construction, remember we talked about this and the problem we had to face with the city? Like, and then reassuring those later on because people are going to forget. See, I'm involved with these people for a long time. So most of the time with all that's going on in the process, especially building luxury homes, they're probably not going to remember certain things. But if I set the expectation from the beginning and then I bring it up later on, more than likely they're going to remember. They're going to be like, "Oh yeah, I remember when you mentioned that. Oh yeah, I remember when you said that could happen." Don't hide anything. Disclose it all. You know, like I said, be upfront. Pricing, I'm always upfront. Like, hey, here's the price. I'm going to fight for you. Here's what I think I can get it to. Let's talk about this. If it ends up being at this price and I save you here, that's benefit to you. So even at the beginning, I'm fighting for them, but like, trying to help out with pricing and so on too. But these are things that you should be doing. Timelines. Let's talk about that. A lot of contractors fail at this. They set an like a timeline that there's no way it can happen. They overpromise, they underdeliver. That is a problem. If you just say, "Hey, this is when I think we can do it. I can probably possibly get it done faster than that, but I'm gonna get you the longer timeline, but I'm gonna shoot and try my hardest to get it done by this time." That goes a long way with clients. So if you're just up front, and a lot of contractors, for some reason, they're afraid to tell the truth on timelines because they're afraid to lose the job. I've lost jobs on timeline stuff, but I've also had those people call me and say they should have listened to me just because I was honest. I'd rather be honest, upfront about everything. So later on, they're not saying, "Why didn't you tell me that?" Because if they say that later on, the trust is gone. And that's a big problem. Don't get rid of the trust. Don't lose the trust. During the planning stage of construct, give suggestions to them. So one thing I like to do at the beginning, a lot of builders don't, is I make recommendations. Like they may have a plan, they may send me the plan, and I'll redline it, and I'll mark it up. Yeah, that takes my time, but I'm making an effort to guide them and help them. I may not win every job that I do this to, and that's fine. They can take my recommendations. At least I know I contributed to their house, I guess. But most of the time, those people come back and they say, "Wow, you're the only one that did that. You took the time to do that." They know that shows that I'm involved in their project, shows that I actually care and give a crap about their project. And it goes a long way. So making suggestions from the very beginning to a potential customer to help guide them, even though they're not totally a customer yet, goes a long way to gain trust with them. You can gain trust early by doing that. So these things are key. They're crucial. A lot of contractors won't do it because they say my time is valuable. I don't want to waste time if they're not going to go with me. That's thinking short term, man. You got to think long term. When I'm talking about these things, I'm thinking, what could come out of it? Me giving something and getting something in return rather than taking from people, right? You always want to give, 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 then you receive. That's how life works, right? Referrals or have them contact past clients too. This is another one that I do consistently. When they ask for referrals, I usually give them 10. Usually they want about three, but I'll give them 10 people they can talk to that are more than happy to talk to them and take their call and rant and rave about us. That's a difference maker. If I can get 10 people to do it compared to other builders that can't get 10, I can probably get 20, maybe even 30 people, but that's a little excessive. Don't do that. But I have that capability with my past clients. I know I can do, and that's going to gain trust too, because they're going to hear the raving client that's like, Reiman was a great builder. They helped us. They're friends. We go to dinner with them all the time. Those go such a long way, guys. So referrals are huge. Utilize that. Show your work in progress too, and also your completed stuff. This is more direct towards builders. So if you guys are looking for a builder, this is what I would actually do right here is look at their current stuff. Make sure job sites are clean. I think this is one of my on my list too, but make sure their job sites are clean. Make sure there's workers in progress. They're clean. Everything's tidy. The workers look, like they didn't just roll out of bed. Everything's running smoothly. They have superintendents on site. Look at their current stuff, but also look at their finished product too. Obviously, finished product, it's shiny, it's clean. It goes a long way. So that's why I always throw in, make sure you look at work in progress because that goes a long way too. Because you can see, a lot about a person on their job site. I actually did a video about this, the importance of clean job sites. We're actually hiring a guy tomorrow. We have a laborer now. We're actually going to hire his brother, and his brother's being hired to go around in cycles to all of our job sites on a consistent basis, and that's all he's going to do is clean them. That's it. Straighten lumber, make sure everything's perfect, no bottles are left out, things are left clean. That's what he's going to do. So we're known for clean job sites. When I see sawdust or anything, I get pretty irritated. So now we're going to have a permanent guy going around and making sure our job sites are spotless. We've been known for that for a while, like I said. So it's just a crucial thing. It goes a long way. So look at current sites, see how things are operating, and so on too. Transparency is key. What do they have to hide? We're very transparent as a builder. We show everything. I was going over pricing today with somebody actually, and I was telling them, hey, here's the bids. This is exactly what it says. This is why. I was explaining why things were higher on certain areas. Like there's an electrical. He's like, why is the electrical price so high? I was like, well, you got a 400 amp service. There's a ton of LED tape lighting in this house too on your plan. And I don't think you need this much stuff. Plus your ceiling details is a little bit, there's just a lot going on. But going through and refining that with him to get the pricing down went a long way. So that's one thing we always do. We're very transparent with pricing. I actually called subcontractors after my meeting with them, said, hey, what can we get this down to? I want to get this price down for this guy. What can we do? I got 5 grand off here, two off here, this and that. So, and I told him I was going to do this. I was like, I'm going to work these numbers for you. I was like, I wanted to give you initial bid, so you saw that. Now let's work the price down a little bit to help you out. So, doing those things, being transparent, go a long way as a contractor. Like I said, this is in all ways of construction, just being transparent and open with people. Don't hide stuff because people can tell when you're shady and you hide stuff, when you don't tell the truth. I just had a friend, he got a quote to do a paver pad on his back lanai. He was asking for my advice on it. I gave him my guy's number. He didn't end up going with my guy. He ended up going with this other guy. The other guy quoted him and then later went to the job and said, "Hey, we got to quote you for base rock. This needs base rock." Well, it's a paver pad. You should have base rock under it anyway. You can't just sand set pavers. So, on thin sand, they're going to settle, they're going to sink. So they ended up raising his price, saying, you owe us another $900 for base rock. And he's like, what the heck, man? I signed a contract. that contractor should be transparent up front. This is exactly what you need. This is why the price is what it is. Here, let me show you and guide you through it. But they didn't. There's hidden cost. And then now my friend's pissed, would never recommend them again, will never use them again, and was very irritated. So just be transparent. That's huge. Educate your client as much as possible. The more they understand the process, the more confidence, they'll have in you. So walk them through on decisions, why things are done a certain way. We're really, really good at this as much as possible. We detail out everything, but we want to meet with the client as much as possible, even before too. Like I said, I sit down with them, go through pricing with them on a consistent basis. Why is this? What are you getting out of this? There's no hidden costs. I don't cheapen anything up. During the build, we're constantly guiding them during it. We disclose everything. We make them sign off on everything too and approve it. We won't send anything through until they approve what we have. So it's just constant education. We have meetings with them in person to show them what we're doing too. I think this is one of the main reasons we actually stand out with clients because we're constantly educating them on on the construction process of why we do certain things. Because you can't expect, I think some builders expect the client to know what's going on, but they don't know what's going on. That's not what they do for a living. So it's our job to educate them as much as possible. Communication is huge. Communicate frequently, clearly, give regular updates, progress photos, phone calls. Keep clients in the loop. That's the thing. And the problem is if you don't keep them in the loop, especially with what we do, we build for a lot of part-time people. They're there 6 months out of the year. So if they don't hear from us, they don't think anything's going on. So we have to consistently update and communicate with them what exactly we're doing. We have software for this that shows our schedule. It shows detail on job cost and job updates by our superintendents. There's messaging platforms on there. They can talk with the client, take pictures, circle things on the plans. We try and figure out any way we possibly can to communicate better with the client. So I'm always coming up with ways. There's always new ways out there that I'm trying to figure out as well. So how can I be a better communicator with the client? That's what I'm always asking myself. That's what I'm always chasing and always trying to do. That's huge. Always communicate frequently and clearly. If we have meetings with them, like I said, in person, that goes a long way as well. We do weekly photos and videos of projects as well, too. So even if they are here, they still get those weekly photos and updates of what exactly is going on and who's there. These things go a long way with gaining trust. That's what we're talking about here. Remember, trust. We're gaining and keeping the trust of the client, right? Show them the numbers. I brushed on this earlier. It's important just to be transparent. That goes in the whole transparency side and show the numbers. What are they paying? We're a very open book company. That's how we operate. We operate cost plus. So, our clients, whatever we pay, they see it and then they do our percentage on top. That's how that works. But I'm very transparent, but I also fight for them too. I don't just say the price is the price. If I can get them $1,000 off here and there, or 2,000 off here and there, I fight for them to get them the best number. So show them the numbers. Transparency is key. We have actually software that shows the numbers so they can keep track of all the payments made, everything that's going on as well. From start to finish, our clients are our family. I brushed on this at the very beginning. Our relationships with our clients are huge. And it's not just be done with the build and never see them again. No, it's always continue the relationship. Like I said, my wife and I go dinner. We have dinners lined up on every weekend with clients, just catching up, hanging out, not talking about the house, but as friends. Our clients become our friends. We're doing that client appreciation party, like I said. We're making that a yearly event to show our appreciation for them because without them, we would not be here. Not sound corny, but that is the truth. Without them, we would not be here, right? So that's why we treat them like family. I take care of them. I had a situation with a pool pump recently. Not a pool pump, but a pool overflow. So our old pool contractor we used to use Uh, just we got rid of. We have a new pool contractor now that's phenomenal. But long story short, this pool's had problems. I went back there. He was telling me about a problem. So I went back there. I looked at it. First off, he didn't have an overflow pipe. I think it got buried. And then his autofill kept acting up too. But the autofill, I think, was in the overflow pipe location. And that pool contractor, long story, but 2,500 buck or $2,500 repair on this pool, and the client said he would obviously pay for it because it's not a warrant. He's out of warranty. This house we finished like 2 years ago, and I said no, this is on us. We're gonna take care of it. He's like, I didn't ask you to do that. I was like, yeah, but I'm going to do it because this shouldn't be this way, and I'm sorry it is. So just doing those things from start, treating clients like they are part of your family. I mean, I know I do that for my family. Hope you do that for yours. But if, that's just how we are. We treat them right. We take care of them. We have integrity. We take ownership for the problems. That's what we do. If there's a problem, we admit to it. I had another instance where there was a staircase problem. I might have told this story. I've done a lot of podcasts, but um, we had a problem with the staircase because it slipped through the cracks. Usually it gets our selections coordinator to approve, and then it goes to me, and then I have final sign off. For some reason, it skipped both of us, went out to the field. My brother thought it was approved, and he put it through, and they did the order. Well, that was a $5,000 mistake because it was the wrong selection and order. So we took ownership. We had to obviously deal with the problem. That was the $5,000 mistake on us. We didn't pin it on the client. A lot of builders will say, well, that wasn't my fault. I'm not paying for it. We took ownership. So it was a mistake. Do we want to pay 5 grand? No, but it was on us and should have never happened. That client was so like unbelievably thrilled because they had a building experience before that. Ownership was never taken. And they were like, I just can't believe you guys are amazing. For you to take ownership and tell the truth, that stands out. That means the world to us. So thank you. Stuff like that. That just goes into honesty, being honest, having integrity. Clients appreciate when you're upfront about delays, cost overruns, unexpected issues, rather than, trying to cover them up. Just own them. Own your problems. If there's anything that happens, I talked about this earlier, you need to own up to it too. I brushed on too with pricing. Always fight for the client. That goes a long way too. I'm always fighting for them in all directions, even with our subcontractors. If I did it today, I like to tell you guys stories of life experiences. There's a material raise on our shutters. Our shutters are aluminum product. They raised it 5%. They said it could raise another 5% too. Ended up being like $2,500 raise. But I said, no, that's ridiculous. I haven't even broke ground on this project. And I got to go back to the client, tell him I got to up his shutters $2,500. No, you guys can cut profit somewhere. This is ridiculous. We need to figure this out. So, being a subcontractor that we've worked with for many years, they went to the higher ups. The higher ups were like, no, Reiman's one of our top clients. Let's just make it happen at the price we had originally. I fought for the client for 2,500 bucks when I could have just said, "Hey, this is a price increase. Sorry, you know, it is what it is. Tariffs, blame that." But I didn't. I held my ground. I said, "No, they're not going to pay anymore." So doing those things and fighting for them goes such a long way. We need to do that. Let clients vent to you. I have this all the time too, where I have some clients. They want to call me and they want to vent about certain things, but it's not bad. It's like there's some things that happen during the process. I have clients that don't vent. They're easy to deal with, but I have clients that vent and they want to be heard. And that goes back to the first thing. I listen to them. So if you can just listen to them, let them tell you the problems that they're having. Most of the time after it's done, they're like, thanks for listening. You know what? Thank you. I appreciate it. I know you'll take care of it. And I do. But if I don't let them vent to me, I'm not going to know what the problem is and I'm not going to be able to take care of it. So that's one thing I always do too. And I recommend is let them vent because you got different clients, different personalities. Some of them are going to vent to you. Uh, what can we do better? How can we fix this? Those questions I always ask. What can we do better? With the final experience, like ask them at the end of it, during it. What can we do better? How can we get better as a team? If you're not asking those questions, you're never going to get better. Contracts and agreements matter. Obviously, you need to be clear on your contracts, clear, detailed, define the scope of work, define the pricing, the timelines, don't prevent misunderstandings. But you need to be clear on your scopes too, because there's a lot of builders, contractors out there that aren't. The more clear you are, and like I said earlier, go through it with them, line item by line item, and set the expectations on it too. Have respect for their investment. Remind your team that this is likely one of the biggest financial commitments your clients they will ever have. So, treat it and care for it too. You always want to respect their investments. We have a team meeting every week, and I bring up to the team job site cleanliness, the importance of it. I just told you guys that we're hiring somebody to go around and clean. We want our subcontractors to do the same, respect the sites. So we're always on top of them, making sure we have signs out front too saying keep these jobs clean. That goes a long way. Professionalism on the job site, clean, organized, crews look good. That gives you a lot of credibility and trust as well. Follow through with your promises. That was another big one that I had. If you say you're going to do something, do it. That's how I am. I have integrity. If I tell somebody I'm going to do something, I do it. I don't put it off. I get it done. That's how you got to be. Have the respect for your client because a lot of builders don't, a lot of contractors don't, and that's where you're going to rise above. If you're hiring a contractor too and you're listening to this, make sure they follow through on their promises. Ask them, how many times do you execute? What's your percentage on getting things done when you say you're going to get them done? Social proof matters. Check social media. I have a big social media. I post everything to there. I have nothing to hide. We also have 5-star reviews. We actually have a lot of our employees. I did a thing with social with this for Google, that I incentivize my employees to get reviews. And if they get the review, they get $50. Get their name in it, they get another $50. So it's incentivized them. I've actually been losing a lot of money because of it. But it's been great because now our reviews have our whole team in it. It's not just my brother and I did a great job. No, it's the whole team. All of their names are in the reviews. So it's showcasing our whole team and what we do and how important that is too. So that's been a great thing too. Follow your warranties too. Make sure that they abide by the warranties. They take care of what they're going to say. I've heard so many horror stories from friends, from people I've met that warranties weren't fulfilled. People talk, or a lot of talk, but not a lot of walk. Just make sure, when you're talking to the past clients, make sure that they do fulfill what the warranty is. We have a warranty coordinator. She is awesome. I call her a pit bull. She gets things done right away. She's always on top of it. She sees something that needs to get done that the client doesn't see. She takes care of it too. She wants perfection. She knows how we are. That's what we chase as a company. That's what you want to find. That's what's going to make you better as a company too. But if you're hiring somebody, uh, it's a huge, huge difference maker for us. She's been amazing, an amazing addition to our team. Stay involved, even post completion. This is where my last thing is. You want trust, play the long term, keep the relationship, even post construction. That's how we are too. I still take care of people. I do home watch for them. If there's problems, they call me still. I get somebody out to their site right away just to help them out. These things are important to people. I had somebody call me because they had a cabinet pantry door that was hitting or sagging a little. So I called my cabinet guy to see if he was nearby and he could run over there and just fix it for her real quick. That was a past client. She's an older client, like needed help with it. And just doing those small things, man. Even myself going by, and if somebody has an issue they need looked at, I go by myself and I'll look at it on a Saturday or on a weekend too when I get some time. And if it's urgent, I'll get over there right away too. We've had hurricanes here. I've run over to people's houses just to check them, check breakers, stuff like that for them. Doing those things go such a long way. Playing the long term, doing the right thing, having integrity, guys, these are the things that is going to keep trust. I'm telling you, if you do these things, have the transparency, and have the trust. That's what matters in construction. So with that being said, thank you all for listening. 5-star reviews go a long way. Take time to do that for me. 2 minutes. Appreciate you all, and I will see you guys on the next episode.